Hello guys, and welcome back to SWTOR Central, and in this video I'm going to be showing you guys a very easy key binding setup and how to use your keybinds effectively. Okay folks, so I know a lot of people are still pointers and clickers when it comes to using abilities in Star Wars: The Old Republic. I guess this goes for any MMO, but obviously this is targeted at Star Wars: The Old Republic. So pointing and clicking your abilities, in my opinion, is a massive disadvantage when it comes to combat, because obviously we're going to be talking about combat for this because keybinds don't really matter anywhere else unless it's your preference to use a keybind for a stim or something like that. We're not really going to be bothering with any of that sort of stuff in this video. It's just going to be combat based only. Okay, so the main disadvantage when it comes to using your mouse to click your abilities in combat is having to stare at your quick bars to click your abilities. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how used to it you are when it comes to pointing and clicking to things in your quick bar. You are going to have to look there when it comes to pointing and clicking, okay? So the best way to eradicate this is to use keybinds instead of pointing and clicking. So talking about staring at your quick bar, it's a bad thing in combat because you need to be aware of what's going on, and when you're playing a game you don't just want to be staring at your abilities at that the whole time. You know, you're going to want to be looking at actually what's going on, and using keybinds is the best way to do this because it all works off of muscle memory. Once you get used to it, your hands just kind of know what to do and where to be. So I'm going to be explaining to you guys the keybinds that I used and 100% worked for me to learn how to use those keybinds. Okay, so I found it really difficult to use keybinds such as 1, 2, 3, 4, or like any other stupid keybinds like P or O or I or L. I don't feel like they are necessary to be used, or even like T and G and H. I feel like they're too far away and just not convenient at all to be used when we could be using something a lot simpler. So your keybinds are going to have to be something that you are familiar with, keys that you are familiar with pressing, and the keys that you're going to be familiar with pressing are going to be keys such as the W, A, S and D, as well as Q and E because of your movement, and also the space bar because of jumping and whatnot. But other keys that you might be used to from other games on your computer, so like your first person shooters and things like that, is going to be the shift key for like sprinting, or even like the tab key for like switching back and forth between weapons on some games, or even cycling to an inventory and back off in like survival games and things like that. So there are going to be keys that you are used to, even if you were not using those keys in Star Wars: The Old Republic. But perhaps it's time to adapt those keys into Star Wars: The Old Republic and start using them effectively for your combat. This is the way that I have done it. Okay, so I am incredibly used to using W, A, S and D, as well as Q and E for my movement. I do use my mouse as well to move around, but obviously W, A, S and D are like the main ones. So I integrated the W, A, S and D and Q and E into my keybinds. Now obviously I can't just remove the movement keybinds for these, okay, because I need to be able to move with those keys still. So the way that I've done it is that I'd have to hold down the Alt key, which is right next to my spacebar, and then press one of the W, A, S, D or Q and E keys to use an ability. So such as this one that I've got highlighted now called Massacre, or the one underneath it called Assault. You can see it highlighted on my quick bar right now. If I wanted to use it, I'd have to press Alt and A together at the same time. It's incredibly easy to do this because my finger is pretty much already on A because that's where it needs to be by default to move, and my thumb is automatically next to Alt because it's just hovering around spacebar all the time. That's just like kind of how your hand is set up on the keyboard when you're playing a game. So that is why I'm using the Alt key for most of my combat abilities. So holding down the Alt key and then pressing A, or holding down the Alt key and then pressing S, and then holding down the Alt key and pressing W. It's going to use my Ravage. It's failing because the dummy is just being a bit awkward. Yeah, holding down Alt and pressing E, holding down Alt and pressing D. And today I also have 2 extra buttons on my mouse. I used the forward one for my saber throw and the back one for my jump, just because they're easy. It's really easy accessible. I can get to those like in fractions of seconds for when I need to jump and throw my sabers. And also a good thing to do with your keybinds is relate the keybinds to something that you're familiar with. So like jumping, obviously I'm familiar with jumping with the spacebar, so my ability Smash always reminds me of jumping, So all I need to do to use my ability smash is hold down the shift key and press the space bar at the same time, and it will use that ability. So again, it comes down to like what your preference is, what you're familiar with, and yeah, basically it's just your preference. It's all down to preference. This is the way that I taught myself to keybind, because believe it or not, I did used to click, point and click all the time, and I was doing that for like a good year or so, and I still did it for some time after that while I was learning how to keybind. But eventually I just got so used to it, I can't imagine playing this game without using keybinds now. I physically cannot use pointing and clicking anymore, because it just feels so gross. And I don't mean that in a bad way against anyone who does use them, because if it's your preference, then obviously, you know, it's your choice. But using keybinds, I promise you, is so much better, because you have the advantage of getting to your abilities a lot quicker and a lot more precisely, because your muscle memory, your muscle memory will occur, and it will remember what you're doing. So as you're using your rotation constantly with your new keybinds, your fingers are getting used to what they need to do and how often they need to press certain things, and you know, just the muscle memory, it just kicks in, and it just kind of does everything for you, and you don't really need to look at your quick bar, because you know where the keys are automatically. I mean, you do that quick glance every now and then, but you don't need to completely stare at your quick bar, because you are no longer pointing and clicking with your mouse. Okay guys, so that's like all the advice I had to offer for this video. I'm going to go into my keybinds now and just show you how you can set up this sort of thing for yourself. Okay, so you want to go into your preferences, and then you want to go down to the key bindings tab right at the bottom. You can see me highlighting it now at the bottom. I'll just click on that, and then you want to go to quick bar, and you want to be making sure that you know where your quick bars are. So go into your interface editor, and you'll have these numbers on your quick bar, so like quick bar 4, quick bar 6, quick bar 3. Just know which abilities you're key binding, and you can see here my main quick bar. The first one is set to holding Alt and then pressing A, and the second one being holding Alt and then pressing S. That is basically how you would set up the keybind. So you can see here main quick bar slot 4. You can see that that's not bound to anything. So if I was to click on that, and then I was to, I don't know, so let's say keybind it to holding Alt and then X, and then pressing apply, you can see it appear here. I know you can't really see my mouse cursor. See where I'm highlighting on the quick bar now, just to the left of it. See it there, highlighted now, Alt and X. So if I was to put an ability there, it would use it. So let's just move that there for a second, and hold in Alt and then X, and there we go, it'll use that ability. Shortcuts to use your abilities. So yeah guys, that's all the advice I have to offer for this video, and I really think you guys should try this out. The way that I've done it really did help me. Just use the keys that you are familiar with using yourself, and like holding down the Alt key and then holding down the Shift key. It's just like a really convenient way, and I think it could be a really brilliant way to learn to keybind yourself, especially if you're completely new to keybinding, like you've never used keybinds for an MMO before. Then this could be a really good way, a really great way for you to learn. And in fact, I have got another tip for you guys, and that would be when you do your keybinding setup, and like you can see here, my basic ability Assault is set to Alt and A. And whenever you make a new character or a new class or anything, if you set the basic ability of that character the exact same way that you did it on your previous character that you're used to, you'll see similarities, and you'll be able to just keybind those abilities into a similar position, which will help you learn that rotation much quicker and help you get used to those keybinds much quicker. Okay guys, don't forget to leave a like on the video, and don't forget to comment. Please comment like what you thought of this video, if it helped you or if it didn't, because if it didn't help you, then leave a comment and just tell me why it didn't help you, and then maybe I can help you in the comment section. I might be able to explain a bit better in text, you never know. If anybody else has any like some sort of cool advice that they want to just throw out there, then please do so. Just remember that key bindings are always going to come down to preference and your accessibility to your keyboard. Like for myself, I have smaller hands than most people, so I don't always go right across my keyboard with some keybinds, because it can be quite uncomfortable to do so, and some people might have larger hands which would easily access them to like the function keys at the top of the keyboard. Okay guys, so please leave the feedback. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.